Indian conditions. Really, I am very much thankful for the mechanical HOD for giving this opportunity, and hopefully this session is going to be only a discussion session. That is what usually I prefer to do whenever I am going for any presentations. So hopefully this is going to be a discussion. So whatever the discussions you are having in your mind, so we are going to discuss at the end of the session, right? And one of the toughest thing is after lunch session, listening to a lecture is going to be a nightmare for everyone, not only for students, even for professors, everyone, right? I hope it won't be a boring session. I am sure. Let us see what will happen at the end of the session, right? So, what I'm going to discuss about today is a modern electrical drives and control. Why didn't I add control in this one? Is I have a separate presentation for that one. So let us discuss about modern electrical drives first. So a brief introduction. What we are going to see in today discussion. We are going to have a overview of DC and AC drives, and what is modern electrical drive, and what will be the new developments, few applications. Finally, I am going to conclude my work. So, usually, if you are seeing about drives, so it is only employed for, as everyone knows, particularly mechanical guys, you know better than electrical guys what will be the driver. So, whenever you want to control any movement, it is going to be called motion control systems. Usually, that requires that demands prime movers. And suppose if those prime movers are made up of electric motors, we call that as electrical drives. That's it. Suppose if it is made up of some mechanical, hydraulic, or pneumatic control, it is going to be mechanical drive. Or otherwise, if it is going to be with electric motors, so we call that as electrical drives. That's it. It's simple to understand. So coming to this electrical drives, whenever I am going to discuss anything, what I am going to do is, without knowing the background, we are not supposed to start anything. That is what our research team's focus is. So what we did is, we just did a basic survey. What is the overview of this electrical drives? So what we found is before semiconductor, after semiconductor, like DC, AC. So we are going to tell this as before semiconductor, after semiconductor. So before semiconductors were introduced, that is 1950s, before 1950s, AC motors usually we are used for fixed speed applications, whereas DC motors we preferred for variable speed applications, because on those days we are having a bulge rheostats which we can vary the speed of the system, particularly DC motor. And AC motor, we don't have slip ring at the initial stage. We are having only squirrel gauge. So as far as squirrel gauge induction motors are concerned, it is very difficult to vary the speed using the rheostats. So that is why people are using only for fixed speed. And after 1960s, a breakthrough in electronics field where semiconductor devices are introduced. And once they get into a market, then AC motors are largely preferred in variable frequency applications. And even though that is the case, during that time, for high performance applications, DC motors are largely preferred. So DC motors are largely preferred during this time, especially for elevators, tractions, and service. And another breakthrough in control aspect is vector control, which was introduced for AC drives. And once this vector control was successfully implemented in a real-time system, then AC motors are also preferred in high performance applications. As a consolidated market dynamics, just I projected the market dynamics between a DC drive system and AC drive system. And usually in Tamil also we are having one proverb, "Vatana or Vatanda," in cinema, right? That means so life is a cycle, right? And if you see this, this trend is clearly we are going to infer that life is going to be a cycle. Why? See here, in 1960s, so after the invention of variable speed applications, DC motors are only used for high performance applications, that is 20% of application, and 80% of the applications are AC drives. Right? And after that, if you keep on seeing, so what happens now, the market dynamics is going to be, we are in 2020, right? So the prediction is 2025. And if you see, the DC drive is going to rule globally by 2025. So 87% of the applications, that is what the prediction is by means of DC drive. Because people are talking about a 48 volt DC system, 110 volt DC systems, right? And HVDC systems. Once this everything comes into picture, right? Then obviously this is going to rule our flow. So basic. So this is what the market dynamics at present people are expecting in drive systems. What is the purpose of this drive system? Why we are using a drive instead of going for a constant speed machines? Why? So the most two important things is one is energy savings and another one is efficiency. That's it. So these are the two things, and other advantages only I just listed down, like better process control, and you can regulate whatever the way you want, and you can speed up and slow down a machine or a process as per the requirement. That is, you can tailor make the requirement, right? And power factor correction, energy emergency bypass capability. That means whenever you can stop, you can null. So those things you can do it. Protection from overload currents. That means if you have a drive system, whenever there is a overcurrent, so you can protect the device from that one. And safe acceleration. Say for example, at present in EV and all, minimum the acceleration requirement. So this is going to be the acceleration, right? So the acceleration requirement within 300 kilometers per hour, we can accelerate within 0.5 seconds. So we can accelerate within 0.5 seconds without having any acid. So that is why it is going to be a very safe acceleration by means of variable speed. So these are the overall advantages you can find in any text. Right? And if you see the basic difference, I just put a pictorial representation. And this is a constant speed motor which is going to connect to a pump. Right? And if you see here, exactly 50% of the, suppose my input power is 10 watt. See here, my loss is 5 watt and my output power is 5 watt. So my efficiency is going to be only 50%. Whereas if you see, if I am going to replace a variable speed drive instead of constant speed, so what happens? The same 10 watt, I am going to get a 9 watt of output power and only 1 watt of power loss is going to be there. So I am going to get efficiency of 90%. So minimum I am going to get a efficiency increment of 40%. So in any system when I use a variable speed. So that is what the beauty of variable speed. Of course, if you have a cost comparison, yes, of course this is going to be a lesser cost when compared with this one, because this system requires the variable speed drive system requires additional components or additional systems. So what are they? So one is, so of course whether it is a constant speed or a variable speed drive, we need a source, supply, right? Source or supply. So that is going to be either AC or DC. So we need a power electronic controller or converter. Generally, people call us converter. So we have four types of converters here. So we have AC to DC, AC to AC, DC to AC, and DC to DC. So we have four different types of converters. Depending upon the motor we use, the application we use, we can choose the converter. And this is the type of motor. Any drive system, you need this system. And a load, mechanical load. So any mechanical load. Here I just put a electric vehicle, not only electric vehicle, anything, a pump, a compressor, a fan, right? So anything is going to be a mechanical load, right? And the most important thing is digital control. So previously, that is 3 decades back, people are using microprocessor. Now we are using microcontroller, DSP for high performance, and FPGA and all is there. And for real-time systems on board, we are using a DSpace systems also for this control purpose. Right? This is only for research aspect, not for. So these are the real-time digital controllers we are having, and this is going to be a sensor. Sensorless operation is also there. Few applications we can have sensorless operation also. So these are the overall systems we can have, and of course this is your digital computer to control your control aspects. So this is going for to provide a command. Whatever the command you are going to provide, based on the command, it is going to operate. Right? So these are the complete systems we need in our modern electrical car. So why globally people are keep on talking about, even if you see this, this AC source, DC source, power converter, motor controller, right? So everything, it is available in the market, and even though that is the case, why people are keep on talking, refining, doing research on this different types of systems in order to increase the efficiency, reduce the losses, or otherwise decreasing the size, right? So why people are keep on talking? The most important thing is to see more than 50% of electrical energy produced are used for drive systems alone. That is electrical drive systems. I'm talking about only electrical drive systems. Maybe it can be either fixed speed or variable speed, doesn't matter. So more than 50% of the electrical energy. Remember, if you save 1% of that also, it is going to give that much of massive amount of profit for you. Right? That is why people are keep on doing research on this particular. Right? And this variable speed drives using power electronic converters to supply the motors, to control the motors. So we have different types of motors. Say for example, conventionally we are having brushed DC motors. Nowadays we are having brushless DC motors, switched reluctance motors, and if you see AC motors, we are having induction, PMSM, synchronous reluctance. So we have different types of motors, and we need to, if you want to control these different types of motor, you need to develop a different control algorithm as well as different controller, power electronic controllers. So this is what I said earlier. Improvement in energy utilization in electric motors gives a large impact to the overall energy consumption. Even though if you reduce 1% of the energy consumption, that itself gives a massive amount. Say for example, let us take our home. Suppose I am having a bore pump. So each and every month it is going to consume around 60 to 70 units. Right? Suppose 60 to 70 units means 1 unit cost, as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned, I think it is approximately 1 rupees 10 paise. Right? So for 70 units, if it is less than 100 units, so this is the cost. So I am going to pay approximately, if it is 70 units, I am going to pay some 80 rupees. Right? Suppose if I am going to reduce this 60 to 70 band to 50 to 60, I am going to pay only 60 rupees, correct? So the difference is, see here, or otherwise 70 rupees, let us take that. So the difference is 10 rupees per month. So what happens for year? 10 into 12, it is going to be 120 rupees. Right? And not only for energy saving, and if you save the unit, so this is going to have an impact on energy production. So including the coal, I am going to get reduced that much of percentage, right? So that the pollution is also going to get reduced because of thermal power plants. So many things are there if I reduce 1 unit of power consumption, energy consumption. So that is why people are talking about that one. Now, how we are going to do this? So that is why I said, once if you, the idea began 5, 6 decades back itself, if you replace fixed speed drives to variable speed drives in almost all applications, you can gain more efficiency. You can save more energy. So second one is using high efficiency motors. So we have a PMSL motors or BLDC motors. So we have synchronous reluctance motor. These are all the high efficiency motors at present in market. And if you see the construction aspect, so this is the induction motor, and this is going to be my PMSM or BLDC. Both the construction are going to be same, and this is going to be synchronous reluctance motor. Right? And here the parts I am going to mark two main parts. One is the static part, otherwise called as stator, and the rotating part, otherwise called as rotor. And the static part for these three machines are common. So whether it is a synchron or otherwise PMSM, right? So the static part is going to be common. Only the rotor part get differ. See, the rotor part only it get differ. So based on the rotor part and the supply, the performance is going to get varied. So let us take one example, a real-time example. What we did is we take a centrifugal pump which is made up of induction motor. This is the induction motor. So this is the induction motor. It's a three-phase induction motor. Right? So we take a three-phase induction motor, we dismantle that motor, we just re-engineer that one, get the dimensions, check the performance, right? And this is the motor which is used for centrifugal pump, and this is the requirement for a centrifugal pump. So this is the requirement of a centrifugal pump. So what I am going to do is, this is my motor and this is my pump. This is my centrifugal pump. I am going to couple this one. So the requirement of this centrifugal pump, if my motor want to if my motor want to give a requirement, a proper requirement of this centrifugal pump, first I want to know what is the requirement of this centrifugal pump. Requirement means what is the speed, what is the torque required by the centrifugal pump. Right? So that is what I drawn here. So for each and every speed, I measure what is the requirement of torque. So for 800, suppose if my pump rotates at 800 RPM, the required torque is approximately 4 Newton meter. That means my motor needs to deliver at least some 10% more than that one. Then only it is possible to deliver the required mechanical power to operate the pump. So similarly, if you see 1500 RPM, the requirement is approximately 14 Newton meter. So I want to design a motor which is going to deliver for this particular speeds the required torque. So that is what the constraint we are having. So what we did is we designed these three machines. So what I shown is so this is the existing one. So this is the existing one, and we did these two machines, 1, 2, correct? So maybe I can put this as 1, this is 2, this is 3. We did 3 measures. And based on the simulation studies, this is only simulation study first. So we get a different efficiency for different missions. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, right? So, and if you see here, this is the green color is induction motor. Let us talk about the maximum speed. At this speed, my efficiency is approximately some 75%. So whereas this blue color, the synchronous reluctance, the efficiency is 80%, whereas PMSM, this is going to be approximately 88%, 84 something, right? 84 something, right? So this is what we get in this efficiency. And the most important thing we want to look into this is, if you see up to this level of speed, right? That is 50% of the speed. 1500 means, so up to the 50-60% of the speed, my central, that is the third motor, is having much efficiency when compared with second and existing induction motor. So that is this motor. So in the partial loading condition, this motor performs in a better energy efficient way, whereas at the rated load condition, this is going to be quite interesting. So this is what I just put it with respect to load tag, different load tags. See, for different load tags, again, so my reluctance machine, the third machine, so this is third machine, this is second machine, right? So up to 8 Newton meter, my efficiency is better. That is off of the, so I want 14 Newton meter is the rated condition, right? So off of that is approximately 7 Newton meter. So up to that, this machine performs well. That is partial load conditions. After 50%, this machine performs well, right? See here, this energy part. So we have a energy difference between this and that. So another thing what we did is we measured the temperature, which is one of the biggest issue nowadays in our electrical drives. You see the temperature rise, and we run it for different times, so up to 200 milliseconds and all. And if you see PMSM, so the temperature is going to stabilize at 50 degrees Celsius, maximum temperature, that is in the coil, right? Motor coil. Motor coil means here, I will show you. So this is the coil. So this is the coil. So here we measure. So the temperature is, see here, 50 degrees Celsius, whereas in synchronous reluctance, it is approximately 46 degrees Celsius. So 4 to 5 degrees Celsius temperature rise will be lower in this particular machine. This is one of the biggest advantage when compared with PMSM. And compare with current. So based on the current only, we are having the current consumption. If current is more, energy consumption is more, right? If current consumption is more, that means energy consumption is more. Right? So because both are proportional. And if you see synchronous reluctance machine at the rated condition, that is the rated condition means the rated speed 1500, the current consumption is 5.5 amps, whereas PMSM it is approximately 4.4 amps. So 1 amp is going to get reduced. So PMSM is having a better efficiency as well as better energy consumption. And because of higher current, see, we are having a poor power factor in synchronous reluctance machine. So my power factor is only 0.6 here, whereas PMSM, my power factor is greater than 0.8. So if my power factor is lesser, what is the meaning? The commercial meaning is I need to pay more money. Pay more money. That's it. Because power factor is lesser, current consumption is going to be more, so I want to pay more money. I want to spend more money. That's it. right? If power factor is closer to 1, that means the energy consumption is going to be the best. So what we did is, we have few advantages. See here, what are all the advantages? In partial conditions, this machine is performing better, and temperature level, this is going to be better. Only thing is power factor is going to be little, power factor and current is going to be little higher. Power factor is lesser, current is going to be more. So what we did in that particular synchronous reluctance is, we incorporate, this is the barrier, we call this as a barrier. So this air barrier, this is air gap, right? Air, sorry. So what we are going to do is, we are going to insert some amount of magnets here in order to improve the power factor. Not only power factor, that is going to reduce the current as well, right? So that is what we are doing as the next case study. See here, we just insert some amount of magnets. It's a low cost magnet. It's a low cost magnets. We use low cost magnets here. So it is ferrite magnets. So what we did is, we did a different studies, and if you see the power factor, see the power factor rises for this particular design to greater than 0.8, so which is much closer to PMSM machine. So that is what, so this is what we did a simulation as well as test. We developed that machine and we do the test and see the power factor. So it is greater than 0.8, much closer than PMSM machine. That means if power factor get increased, what happens? The current is going to get lower. So the current consumption get lower, energy consumption is also going to get lower in that. So this is what the efficiency. The efficiency is also increased. So previously it was nearby 80. Now it is going to be greater than 85%. So because of the insertion of magnet, right? So the efficiency is also going to get increased by at least 5 to 7%. So this is what the comparison between this is FPA and this is software. FPA means it's a simulation. And this is going to be our test machine. So what I shown here is only one application, what we did in our lab, and what we are targeting with this particular modern electric drive is, that is synchronous reluctance drive is. So with different applications, say for example compressors. Compressors we are designing greater than 30,000 RPM compressor, and blowers we are also designing 20,000 RPM blowers. Electric vehicles, so for we are having designs for electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and for cars. So the power rating is ranges from 1 kilowatt to 60 kilowatt. And wind generators, so at present we are working with low power only, that is lesser than 6 kilowatt wind generators only we are working. And yes, sir. So these are the applications at present we are working with this technology, synchronous reluctance technology, particularly this technology. Particularly this technology we are working in our research lab. So what are all the things we are planning to do? We are planning to have a low cost ferrite magnets in the flux address. That is what I did. And we need to increase the constant flux so that the power density, that is sizing of the machine, decreases. And we are planning to further reduce the losses to 20% so that efficiency is also going to be much closer to PMSM. We are planning for reaching international efficiency level of 5, And this is what, so we are targeting for E two-wheeler and E three-wheeler. So both three-wheeler means it is a passenger as well as commercial vehicle. So with the power rating of 1 to 15 kilowatt and the speed range is 1000 to 10,000 rpm. So this is what the plan, the present plan of our research team is. So as far as this particular first session conclusion is concerned, what I am going to conclude is this particular technology, synchronous reluctance technology, is going to be best for partial loading conditions in terms of temperature as well as efficiency. And need for rotor magnetization, that is having a permanent magnet in the machine to increase the power factor. So if we are not using the magnet, then the machine is going to be much cheaper, but only problem is efficiency is poor. That means when compared with PMSM, the efficiency is approximately 6 to 8%, 8% lesser. So no doubt, as far as my little knowledge is concerned, this particular drive system is going to be a best competitor for existing induction motor and PMS. So this is going to lie between these two machines like this. So this is going to be simpler, right? So this is what the scenario is going to be in the near future. Right? So if you take efficiency, let us go for efficiency. Few things: efficiency, power density, and maybe cost. If you take efficiency, when compare, say for example, if you take a 1 kilowatt motor, the efficiency of induction motor is 60%. Synchron we can get 70%, whereas PMX we can get 80%. Power density, so that is kilowatt per kg. So this one is going to be 25% lesser than induction machine, and this is going to be 15% lesser than induction machine power density. That is, size of the machine is 15% lesser than induction. And if you see the cost, say for example, if this cost is 100 rupees, say 1000 rupees for a 1 kilowatt machine, my synchronous reluctance is rupees 850, and my induction motor is rupees 600. I'm talking about PMS system. I'm talking about PMS system. So this is what the basic comparison between these three machines, and no doubt these three machines are going to rule for most of the applications. Already they started, and no doubt in the future, near future also, these three machines are going to rule most of the applications. Most of the applications. As far as Indian conditions are concerned, we may prefer induction motor as well as synchronous reluctance motor when compared with PMSM machines. Right. So this is about my first phase of presentation. Okay, so any discussions? Any discussions?
Sir, the session is over for the phase one.
Yeah, just I am having another one presentation.
Just two questions either in the chat box.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir. Hello. Hello.
Sir, yes, sir, you can please ask your question, sir. Dr. Goldkrishnan, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please go.
Sir, shall I ask question, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir.
Yes, sir. Please.
Sir, could you tell me Yes, sir. Sir, could you tell me business opportunities or a future scope of DC motors, sir?
DC motors. You are talking about DC motor.
Sir?
Which motor, sir? DC motor.
Yeah, yeah.
So you are talking about DC motor means it's a brushless or a brushless, sir?
DC drives.
DC drive, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just a minute, sir. Maybe, so just a minute. I can stop presenting for a while. Just 1 minute. I will take another one and I will show it to you.
Okay,
Just
sir.
Yes,
1
sir.
minute,
Yes, sir. Participants, if you have any questions, please post it on chat box. Requesting participants to kindly post any questions or any queries. If you want to raise, you can post in chat. So actually, the sir is taking for change of slide. Further, he has stopped his presentation, so he'll be come back for a while within a minute, sir. So now the research person has stopped his presentation, so he's waiting for to change for his presentation.
Okay, sir. No problem.
So I will be, yes, sir. So is my screen is visible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are visible, sir. Your screen is visible, sir.
Okay. Yes. Sir, and yes, sir. I don't know who asked the question. Can you point it out who asked the question?
One that
Someone
is
asked about DC drives, sir.
it's Dr. Gogul Krishnan, sir. He is from Professor from Sri Ishwara College.
Sir?
So you are here now, sir?
Yes, sir.
The question is raised from.
Tell me, Satish, sir.
No, sir. Someone asked about the DC drives, sir.
Yeah, sir. Myself, sir. Gokila Krishnan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you are here. Sir, my screen is visible, sir?
Yeah, visible, sir. Visible.
Yeah, yes, sir. Sir, and if you see this DC drive, right, and this is only a 48-volt system. Right?
Okay.
We did a major research. We started our research for the past 3-4 years. We are doing that one. Maybe you
Okay.
can. I can show one by one, sir.
Okay, sir.
So the first and foremost application, if you see water purifier, we need a DC drive.
Right.
And if you take a ceiling fan, we need a DC drive nowadays.
All right.
So if you go for another one, refrigerator, we can have a DC drive in refrigerator. Air cooler. And we are having mixer grinders and blenders. So hand mixers, vacuum cleaners, washing machines, dishwashers, domestic juicers, coffee machine, air dryer, air conditioning units. So in air conditioning units itself, we need 3 different types of motors. Yeah, that's it, sir. And this is what the comparison we may have. This is not relevant for this one, but you just see the applications, sir. These are
Okay,
the
okay.
applications till DC drives are going to rule in near future. So, and even IIT also, they had a separate building of 48 volt system. They call that as a DC building. In that, they are having only a 48 volt supply, where the other gadgets, whatever the electrical gadgets they are having, it is going to work only with 48 volt DC. So, can you get my point, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, any other question?
Sir, yes, sir. Another question is raised from Mr. Gautam B. So, how e-vehicle charging infrastructure will evolve in India?
Sir, it was
How
only
e-vehicle
start.
charging?
Yes, sir, yes, sir. It was only started. Maybe less than 1% only we are having charging stations. That is also in Pune. Maybe a couple of things in Mumbai, couple of things in Delhi. But people are planning for swapping the battery. That is going to be a good idea. But the problem is swapping the battery. Once if you swap the battery, where you are going to keep the drained battery, whether it is you are going to keep it in the charging station or otherwise whether you are going to keep it in the vehicle itself. If you keep it in the vehicle, the problem is the weight of the vehicle is going to get doubled because 60% of the weight in the vehicle is battery. No, sorry, 30 to 40% of the weight in the vehicle is battery itself. So if you carry a battery, another battery, drained battery with you, so what happens? The range of the vehicle is going to get drastically reduced. So that is also another issue. Suppose if you keep your battery in the charging station, how you are going to identify? While if you come for next 2 or 3 days, how you are going to identify that this is my battery? Or suppose if that is not the case, if you are going travel some other district, suppose if you are not going to come back to the same charging station, then how it is possible to make your battery, get back your battery? So these are the practical issues we are facing. But government has to identify something, sir. We can't be able to do anything as a consumer point of view. Surely government need to draft a policy and they have to come up with initiative as early as possible. Then only we can catch the train, sir, in the train. Or otherwise it is going to be another mobile research only.
Sir, I have one more question, sir.
Yeah, please, sir.
Sir, how can we control the speed of electrical drive, sir? Is
Yes,
any
sir.
braking system is available, sir?
Sir, yes, sir. So we can control through power electronic controller and digital controllers, sir. Converters and digital controllers. Say,
Okay,
for
sir.
example, microcontrollers, microprocessors, DSP, digital signal process. By means of that only, we are going to do braking.
Sir, which one is best, sir? Microcontroller or microprocessor, sir?
Microcontroller, sir. Microprocessor, we are having a lesser number of options. Microcontroller is cheap and best.
All right. Sir, instead of microcontroller, shall we design any new industrial PCB, sir?
Yeah, of course we can do, sir. Industrial PCB, PLC and all, it is available. Yes, sir, we can do that also.
Available, sir. Okay, okay.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, available.
Sir, which brand is best, sir, in industrial PCB?
Sir, which brand? So usually we are using FR board, sir. Any other questions?
Sir, another question from
Yes, sir.
Ms. Nancy. Sir, most of the cases bidirectional boost and buck converter are used in non-isolated category. Can we proceed with CUK and Zeta? How will be the efficiency?
So cut converter is also going to be one of the best one. But see, the thing is, my suggestion is don't design for efficiency. Design for the requirement. Design for the requirement. So efficiency, if you see IEEE or any other transaction, standard transactions, you can found lakh and lakh of papers with different power converters where they can claim, where they are claiming that minimum 96-97% efficiency of that particular converter. So the problem is if you develop that 95-96% efficient converter also, uh, so efficient converter also. So just a minute. Guys, extremely sorry. Suddenly my dean entered into my room. So I just sorry, guys. Okay. So what we discussed is I forget what we discussed. So anyone?
Sir, actually the converter, CUK and
Yeah,
Z
converter.
converter.
Yeah. So thanks, sir. So the thing is, if you see the journals or magazines, anything, standard journals and all, so you can find minimum 96-97% efficient converters. What is the new thing you are going to do? Nothing we are going to do anything new. It is not possible. It is not an easy thing. So instead of that, what is my suggestion is try to develop a converter which is required by that particular application, right? Which demands that particular application. Do that one. So, say for example, if you reduce the size by at least a 5 cross 5, that itself it is going to be a big major breakthrough. Not getting the efficiency of 95, even though it is the case, if you reduce the size by at least 10 mm cross 10 mm or 10 centimeters cross 10 centimeter, that itself it's a big break. So we need to think in that way. Don't worry about the efficiency. Yes, sir. So I think hope he understand. So any other questions, sir?
So now the session is opened for posting questions. Participants, please post your questions.
Sir, shall we control the electrical drives by using changing voltage or frequency, sir?
கண்டிப்பா பண்ணலாங்க சார். That is what my I can show my next slide, sir. So that is easy to understand. Yes, sir. So if you see this, these are the control schemes, sir. We are having two control schemes. One is called scalar, one is called vector. And as you correctly mentioned, in scalar control, we can vary the voltage to control the speed. We can vary the frequency alone to control the speed, and we can vary the both to control the speed. So that is possible, sir.
Sir?
Yes, sir. Hello.
So we will proceed with the next phase of presentation, sir.
Yes, sir. So my next phase is this one, sir. I just want to give you a basic introduction about the control schemes, sir. So, guys, if you see, as far as any modern electric drive is concerned, we are having two control schemes. One is scalar control and vector control. And most probably, as far as high performance applications are concerned, so we use only vector control schemes, field control technique and direct torque control technique. And one of the modern technique as far as vector control scheme is direct torque control schemes. So I am going to discuss about that. And this is the difference between direct torque control and field oriented control. I just take an example of induction motor. Any motor you can use with the same blocks. With the same blocks, you can use it. And if you see this, the only thing what we can found in this one is you need not worry about having this EQ transformation block in direct torque control technique. So we are going to control the torque of the motor directly without having any conversion. So that is what the advantage. That is why people and industries like Alstom and ABB, they are trying this particular torque control scheme for their drive systems. And this is what the new drive system we developed. New drive system, that is drive control algorithm we developed. So what we did in this one is we just make a hybridization of previous one with different two switching control strategies. So this is hysteresis control. So with 2 level, and this is the same hysteresis control with 4 level. So we introduced this particular block, right? And based on this 2 level and 4 level, we designed our required EMF, current, and torque delivered by the machine. And this is what the switching table, which shows how to switch your controller. So this is our induction motor. This is what we developed. This is a induction motor we developed for electric two-wheeler. So the power rating is 1.2 kilowatt machine. This is, and the rated speed is 713 RPM. So other what we did is we can work this motor with 48 volt to 72 volt system. But whatever the results I am going to show, it is only for 72 volt system. And this is the load machine. It's a generator, and this is going to be the resistive load. So whenever we are loading the machine, so this is going to pull the torque from the motor. So the torque is going to be increased. So this is my torque sensor to measure the torque developed by this induction motor. And as Sir said, this is going to be the digital controller D-Space we are using. D-Space. And this is the power converter or inverter, and this is going to be, this is my MDO, that is mixed domain oscilloscope. And this is the transformer. We are having a transformer voltage of 12 volt, 24 volt, 48 volt, 60 volt, 72 volt, 96 volt. So this level of voltage we can deliver. We can tap from the transformer and we can operate our motor. So just make a comparison. This is what we developed controller, and this is what the controller it is available in the market. Right. So what is the maximum advantage of what we are going to get in our controller is see here the torque. Sorry. Yes, sir. So if you see the current harmonics here, it is approximately 5.4 percentage. So in this one, it is off of that one, 2.6468 percentage. So approximately 45 percentage of total harmonic distortion we are going to get reduced in this new scheme. So that is what we developed. That is what. So this is one industry problem. Industry only given this problem to us, right? So based on their problem only, we developed this control aspect. And in that one, what is the problem they stated is they want to reduce this by at least 20 percentage. And if you see the D-axis current and the Q-axis current, so the ripple is here 0.4793, and here it is going to be 0.25. So at least again we decrease by 50%. Here also, if you see the Q-axis, again it is in 0.73 ripple. Here it is 0.34. So I just show the zoomed view of each and everything. This is the zoomed view. Right? So likewise, we did it for a different speed. See, the rated speed is 713 RPM, but we run our machine. We tested our machine for different speeds and checked each and every ripple conditions satisfied with their industry requirement. And the same thing we did it with the experimental also. So we did it with the experimental results, and see the ripple current in experiment we get this one. So this is the ripple current for Q-axis and D-axis. Okay. And this is the current ripple. And this is the torque. So if you see the torque ripple, so the ripple for the conventional one is 0.8 Newton meter, and here it is only 0.5 Newton meter. So this is approximately 0.8 Newton meter ripple, and here it is 0.5 Newton meter ripple. And this is the stator phase current, and if you see the RMS current itself, it is 15.4 amps. Here only 14.4 amps. That means the current consumption for the same 10 Newton meter load is going to be lesser, right? So 15.4 and 14.8. And if you see the total harmonic distortion, it is going to be 5.32. Here it is 3.2. So these are the other results which satisfies for different speed conditions. As a simulation did, so this is what the simulation platform we did. The same simulation platform we did it with the experimental also. So this is what the broad comparison what we made. So as I said, see the Q-axis current ripple, right? So we just remove the, we are not going to comment on simulation. We just discuss about the experimental results. If you see the Q-axis current ripple, so 43% we can reduce. So what is the industry target is they want to reduce by at least 20%. So what we did is we reduced by 43%. And ripple, they said they want to reduce it by 30%, and what we did in experimental is we reduced it by 44%. So this will be the major contribution of this particular direct torque control scheme. So these are the other comparisons of what we made in the experimental. But as far as industry is concerned, they are only looking for this, they look for only these two things. They want to control this two ripple by 20% and 30%. So this is what we did, and the entire control systems, so the development schemes we did in our own lab. So this is our lab, Advanced Electrical Drives lab in our DIT. So in that lab, we have a set up this one. So that's all. This is the advanced control scheme one can use for modern electrical drives. Remember, not only for induction motor, this is applicable for any motor. That is what the three motors I shown here, PMSM or synchronous reluctance. You can use this particular control system. We developed a universal control algorithm only. We are not developing any control algorithm which is used specifically for one mission. So we are not going to spend time in that one. So that is what we made this control systems as a universal one. So that's all about my two presentations. Of course, we can discuss for next 15-20 minutes.
So thank you, sir. So the session is open to participants. Participants can raise your questions. Sir, so questions from participants, sir. Sir, aren't electrical cars dangerous in an accident, like conducting crash tests for evaluating safety level of vehicles?
So at present, it is yes.
It is dangerous.
Yes, of course.
Yes, sir.
Because no one knows how the battery is going to, once a crash was happened, how the battery is going to reciprocate, how other electronic systems are going to reciprocate, we don't know. The major concern is battery. Major concern is battery.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So the next question is from participant. So what indices can be used to measure the performance of battery charges used for electrical vehicles?
Of course, the state of charge, state of discharge, that is one of the biggest issue. State of discharge is going to be the biggest issue because see, in road condition, in Indian road condition, what we are doing in urban rural areas, if it is a two-wheeler is meant for two people. But in rural area, if you go and see till now, minimum 4 or 5 people are traveling in a two-wheeler. So what happens? You need that much of strong acceleration. You need to have that much of torque required by the bike. The same thing for car. Instead of 4 members or 5 members, 10 members are traveling in a car in urban area, in rural area. If there is a function, right? So what happens? When you start the car, you need that much of current to develop inside your motor. And what happens? The motor is going to have, the motor source is only battery. So whatever the current required by the motor, it is going to drain from the battery alone. So you need to be very careful for a state of discharge. That's it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, next question is for electrical vehicles charging, what are the limitations or challenges for contactless induction charging?
Sorry, sir, I don't have any idea about the particular thing because we are not doing, so I am not versed in this particular charging experience.
Sure,
So
sir.
sorry, no comments for that.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, next question from participant. So why is Tesla keep on using induction motors? Are they only alternative for electrical vehicle production?
No, not like that. Why Tesla are using induction motor? It's simple. 5-6 years back, I went to China, Beijing. Right? If you see that, I went to a shopping mall. I went to some 5-6 different types of shopping malls. There you can find almost all American products, all Western products. Say for example, if you take a shoe, Nike product is available there, and in the next rack, their local product is also available. So what people are doing there is more than 80% of the people, they pick only the local item, not this Nike item. Right? Similarly, what Tesla is doing is, if you take a permanent magnet machines, you need to import permanent magnet from China. The reason is 95% of the permanent magnet source is available only with China. So what Tesla is doing is, it doesn't want to depend on any one particular country. Instead of that, whatever the source is having in his own country, he stick with that one. That's it. That is the foremost thing.
Yes, sir.
Of course, we need to learn that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, the next question from participant. So what are the real-time state-of-the-art temperature measuring methods for batteries on electrical vehicles, sir?
No, for batteries, so we are having handheld thermometers. So it's simple, it's a little bit costlier. And in our college, we are having that. So we bought it for around 6 lakhs, I think. So yes, that is going to be quite a simpler one. You can have a continuously, you can measure the temperature for 6 hours, 8 hours. So it is going to provide each and every minute what is the temperature rise.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, the next question from the participant. So, will the electric car batteries serve double duty and became the centerpiece of demand response, vehicle to grid, and vehicle to home systems?
Yeah. Those things we can utilize. No problem in that one. Yes, of course we can do that.
Okay, sir. So the next question from participant. So what are the effects of an increased air gap on the operation characteristics of an induction motor?
Simple. Any electric motor, if you increase the air gap, what is the advantage? I just tell the advantage first. Increasing the air gap, vibration, noise, both the things are going to get reduced. And what is the drawback? Efficiency is also going to get reduced.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Next one.
Yes, sir. So the next question is from participant. So how we can improve power factor when load connected with the induction motor?
Improve the power factor. Yeah, of course, we can go for variable speed drive. That is one option. If you are having a variable speed drive, yes, of course, you can maintain the power factor in a better way. Suppose if you are not having a variable speed setup, then the only option is you need to go with the copper bars. Using copper bars in the rotor, so that the current consumption is going to get reduced, power factor is going to be better. Copper rotors. I think the morning session Dr. Praveen handled, no? He developed a n number of copper rotor induction motors.
Yes, sir.
He was the expert in induction motor copper rotors.
So shall we go for the next question, sir?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Sir, next question from participant. Will power grids be able to handle increased electricity demand from EVs?
Of course, it is going to increase, no? Whatever the load we are going to put is, of course, the load, it is going to increase only. The demand is going to increase, no?
Right. So actually we have came to the last one. Shall we go for the last question, sir?
Yeah, sure.
So how will the intersection of electrical vehicles, that is a car or ride sharing and autonomous vehicle technology, affect their respective adoption rates?
So only the adoption rates is based on the foremost thing is charging points. Second thing is how far the skilled laborers are available. Suppose, say for example, I am having a two-wheeler. If I am driving the two-wheeler anywhere in and around the surrounding or otherwise in the suburb also, suppose if something happened to my two-wheeler, existing two-wheeler, within 2 or 3 kilometers or worst case 5 kilometers, I can find a labor to rectify that one. Whereas, if the same thing is going to happen for an electric bike, who is going to take care? Because no one knows how to rectify the power converter. If something happens, if the problem is in battery, you can't able to open the battery itself. If there is a problem in electric motor, you can't able to open the frame. If it is a problem in power converter, you can't able to open the frame itself. Then how it is possible to rectify? If there is a possibility to open this casing also, no one knows what is what.
Yes, sir.
So that is what the nightmare of electric vehicles nowadays.
Oh, actually, thank you so much, sir. We are came to the end part of the today's session of day one. So, if participants, if having any questions, let me shoot off, or shall we close the session?